every EastEnders character fits into these four categories. Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is Piggy and Ash, and we have another Reddit video for you. Yes, this is the two-person camera with the overlay. But yeah, this is by EastEnders. EastEnders? Is that correct?
EastEnders SE.
EastEnders SE. And
Or just
they
E. Who knows? Who cares? It's a name.
it's a name, and they have put as follows the four categories of EastEnders characters. I often see discussions on this subreddit and elsewhere about who is morally good slash bad, and how people shouldn't like certain characters, excuse me, because they are bad people. I am of the belief that as long as you are not excusing their actions, like who you like. However,
Not
this
a bad take, honestly. I appreciate this take. It's a nuanced take. You're allowed to enjoy characters even if they're terrible people.
yeah,
Like, we would the amount of stress that we had when Dean Wicks was brought back because we enjoy the character because he is a massive dick and doesn't care. But every time it'd be like, we obviously don't condone what Dean did, but they are fictional characters.
and
As long as you're not saying what Dean did was right, then I think you're fine. But yeah, some people take it like, how dare you not hate this character? You must love this character. I hate you. So, all right then.
I will say, Ash is also rocking the Joel Marshall haircut, because that's his new favorite character, the Joel Marshall haircut. He's bringing it back in style, you know. Joel Marshall ruined it, so he's bringing it back. Um, Anyways, I'll continue on. However, this got me thinking of various categories EastEnders characters and probably most sub characters fall under in regard to morality and villainy. Villainy. I'm dyslexic.
Villainy.
Villainy. This is just a vague outline of an idea, and there are definitely people who fall outside of this, who I will give as an example. But I think it's a good way to look at this. I am also aware that some of these are just categories in fiction. I want to look at it through the lens of a soap, because I do think it can operate a bit differently in such a long-running show. Most of my examples are from characters will be from 2008 onwards, because those are the eras I know best. So, category 1, the villains. Examples: Archie Mitchell, Joe Marshall, Ray Atkins, Nish Panasaw, and Nick Cotton.
I will say, just a little funny point. Just with how it's formatted, it looks like this is probably written by them, but it does look like when you say Chat GPT write about the categories of EastEnders character. Like this is how Chat GPT format stuff. But obviously, this seems written. They know their shit. So just a little dumb jab, but it's fine.
And they say as follows: these are the characters who are mostly unambiguously morally bad. There may or may not be nuance in their situations, i.e., Joel is a child, but they are bad people. The show doesn't want you to root for these people under any circumstances. They're designed to be hated, even if it's a love to hate situation, and are only used for a couple of years maximum before their actions catch up with them. Whether through death or arrest, they are typically designed to be an obstacle for a few specific category. 4, 3, and sometimes 2 characters: Archie with the Mitchells, Joel and Vicky, Avani and Amy, Ray with Chantel, Nish with Suki, Nick with Dot. They can have multiple stints, but those stints will still likely follow the same pattern every time that I mentioned above. Yeah, not bad.
Pretty interesting. Very true. I mean, it's a very easy one to say. There will always and forever be villains. So it's not the biggest stretch, but it is apt. It is true. There are always the villains. You always need the bad to drive the good. You need the people to bring. You need someone to bring out the worst in people. And yeah, it's just yeah. I don't know. The villains are indeed ever present, and they will always be present because you always need someone to root against. Because it's a lot easier to hate than it is to love.
Yeah, and just like
Especially if you're a Redditor. Especially if you're a Redditor.
And there is a villain currently in your room with your curtain because he is
Yeah, this
fucking on you.
curtain's absolutely
Yeah,
messing me up.
yeah, he is. But back to it. Category 2, the aunties. Now this is as follows: Janine Butcher, Max Brannan, and Cindy Beale. I'm actually
Not your mother's sister. Not that sort of auntie. The other sort of auntie. Obviously, anti's meaning anti-hero.
yeah, auntie.
I don't know why they didn't actually put anti-hero in this, but I guess it's not used nearly as much anymore, so fine.
I'm struggling to think of any more examples for this category because I do think it's such a unique one. Short for anti-hero slash villain, the antis are still mostly awful people, just typically not passing a certain line that the villains tend to cross. Very overt, physical or sexual abuse usually, unlike with the villains where we are meant to root for their arrest or death, the antis are designed to make the viewer root for them to change or do better. The idea that they are redeemable and sometimes make attempts to redeem themselves are what keeps us in a loop with them. They are much more likely to have longer stints or multiple stints over the years than the villains are because that cycle of redemption, the villainy, it keeps us hooked. The show might occasionally want us to root for these characters, but it's typically for their good actions or in hopes they will change, rather than for their bad actions. These are much more likely to be characters that you genuinely enjoy watching, as opposed to the villains, where they are likely to just make you feel sick and disgusted. They also tend to be quite a bit more nuanced than the villains.
I mean, 100% agree with this one. It's very apt. I always say this: there are some characters you are only supposed to really like in moments. Like, you don't like Janine 100% of the time. You like Janine for those rare moments where you see why she acts the way she does. You see the vulnerable scene. You see why she is lashing out. Then you go, oh, I love Janine. Because, like, even for Janine as an example, Janine was my favorite character for the longest time. And the only reason she's not now is because of the slightly dodgy 2022 stint. But for the most part, Janine was one of my favorite characters because she is a massive bitch, and she will always be self-serving and always be obnoxious to those around her. But when you do get those rare scenes of genuine decency, like her scene with Pat when Pat dies, you know, they drop all the illusions, they drop all the facade. They do love each other. They are like Pat's basically Janine's mum. She basically raised her the whole time, and like she wasn't pushing her because she hated her. She was pushing her because she loved her. Like you get those rare glimpses into why they are the way they are, and those moments make up. They don't make up for the rest of the stuff they do, but it's that moment that keeps you coming back for more. And
I oh,
that's the same for most of these sorts of villains, right? It's like even Nick Cotton. Nick Cotton's obviously not in this category, but like him when he finally accepts that he was just a bit of a piece of shit, and he finally accepts that Dot, you know, she's put through a lot, and he is sorry for what he's done, and he just wants her forgiveness. But even then, Dot's like, nah, nah. So yeah, the anti-heroes they're also necessary. They're not outwardly evil, but they do some dodgy things. Which you know you can't root for them 100% of the time. Um, Max and Cindy are pretty good for this category. I'd argue Cindy has a whole lot less moments where you actually want to root for her because even when she gets like attacked and nearly dies, you still go, fuck that bitch. We hate Cindy. Like we saw her head get caved in and we're just like, should have done it harder, Kathy. Should have done it harder. But
um,
yeah, once again, good category. I will say a lot of these are just standard archetypes of like storytelling,
mhm.
you know, so it's not like we're inventing any new categories for this. But so far, so good.
I will just on this. I will just like talk about it. I will just give my stance on this. Is I love rooting for the anti-hero, to quote Bollocks, what's the song? I think it's Talking Back
Taylor
Sunday.
Swift.
Oh,
Oh
it's
no.
Taylor Swift. Sorry, it is Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I don't know why I was thinking of Talking Back Sunday. I'm thinking of that
I don't even know
mashup.
who the fuck they are.
They're the ones who did oh fuck, I'll send you the song afterwards. But yeah, uh, cute without the e, I believe is the song that they're most known for. But yeah, as I was saying, on Janine Butcher, I love Janine. Janine in 2022 is an annoying piece of shit, and the only redeeming bit about her in that era, and I know this might be controversial to say, the only redeeming bit is the fact every 5 minutes she's pulling an Anthony Truman going up to like going up to everyone going, Scarlett's a bit, on the head, bit, a bit, yeah, a bit, yeah, mental, yeah. And it's like, Janine, she's 9, calm down. And then also the only redeeming bit is the fact that Charlie's like, tell her. Like, I always have Scarlett who's pissing herself because like this woman is fucking yelling at her. But yeah, on like the first example, because I didn't really give my take on it. I do agree with that list. Even though I did off camera, I was a bit like Joe Marshall, why is he in there? But I understand why he's in there. Um, and yeah, it's always fun rooting for them. Like Sydney's best recent moment definitely was Christmas 2024, which checked the reactions out when they came out in December, 1 year on. Um, was the best example was her at Christmas, where she lost everything but still blamed her family, and the entire family just turned to Lauren and go, Lauren, you're the problem. Even though Cindy's the problem, they all went, yeah, you shouldn't have done that, Lauren. But yeah, that's just my take. I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
The mixed bags is category 3. Stacey Stacey Slater.
Slightly untraditional naming category for this one.
Stacey
The
Slater.
bag for life.
Yeah, 10p, please. Examples: Stacey Slater, Ben Mitchell, Phil Mitchell, and Ian Beale. These characters who have actually done quite a few bad things, sometimes to the extent of category 1 or 2 characters, but the show frames them in a way where you're not meant to view them as a villain. I will say that you could argue that Ian is a category 2 character, but I do think he became more category 3 in recent years. You're meant to root for him, even if you're also meant to laugh at him and mock him a bit. These characters are protagonists and are often in the show for many years. They are often in the middle of a lot of conflict, often caused by them, but they are still people or still people who are trying to be good most of the time.
Yeah, see, my only real critique is just the category name, but also I don't know what I'd actually call this. Like, it's just the, I don't know, maybe like, I would say old timers in a sense, but just, I don't know, it's just long running characters at the end of the day. Like, in order to facilitate characters still being on the show, you have to take them different directions, because you'll have different writers who have different ideas for what they want it to be. So yeah, like Phil has been so many different iterations of Phil Mitchell over the years. He's been an abusive husband. He's been an alcoholic. He's been a grief-stricken parent. He's been like he's had to deal with his son being abused by his partner. Like there's been so many different faces of Phil Mitchell that there are going to be highs and lows. And you kind of they're characters in their own right. What is that face? What is that face?
Don't worry, I just read on a little bit.
Christ. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't on you, but that absolutely caught me off guard. But yeah, essentially, to facilitate characters still staying, you have to change direction and alter things. So at some point, there will inevitably be a bad time in the character's like past, and typically they'll aim to avoid it. Like the Stacy is technically a killer. She did kill Archie. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Ben killed Heather. Like Phil has technically killed someone. Ian's technically killed someone. So at this point in time, where you have them gone so long, there are going to be some people, there are going to be some writers who decide this time I want bad boy Ian or bad boy Alfie or shit like this, where the characters are probably going to change in some people's eyes, but fundamentally, a lot of what they do are carried on what they've done before.
Yeah.
But there's also a reason why the mixed bags, unless they are tremendously iconic, some of them just don't last. Like, there's a reason why Ben Mitchell only lasts for about 3 to 4 years at a time. And there's a reason why everybody was pretty chuffed that Whitney Dean finally left. Because at some point, the tragic characters just become too tragic that you just go, man, this is too toxic for me. I can't be dealing with this. It's like that friend who constantly has problem or is constantly getting himself into trouble and wants you to bail them out every single time. And it's like, I just can't be asked. I just can't deal with your shit. Just please fuck off politely. I like you, but please stop. It's becoming draining for me. So stop.
Yeah. I don't have much to say on that, so I will go quickly to category 4, the goods. As they're called, the goods. The examples they give here is Callum Highway, Gina Knight, Denise Fox, and Bradley Brannan, BB. These are characters who are overall good people. They may have done some bad things, but it's still under the average for an EastEnders character. I want to add here, because everyone cheats in this show, I do think that cheating has to go beyond a certain level before they get into category 3 or above, such as serial cheating or cheating for bad reasons. There's never a good reason to cheat, but Callum cheating on Whitney because he's gay and scared about his sexuality being revealed, indifferent than Stacey cheating on Bradley out of spite / to hurt him. You are meant to root for these characters, and they are meant to be good people, with their main flaws being on off mistakes or things they learned from. A lot of characters will fit in this category, as I think it is default category of the show. The longer a character is on the show, the more likely they are to move into category 3. Most characters will fit into this category at any given time, but they can shift around. Ian is one example I give in this post of a character floats between 2 and 3. I will say it is very unlikely for a character to be able to get back into category 4 once they leave it. I also think the characters can enter or leave category 1 for the most part, but there are 2 exceptions. Dean Wicks. This is why I went, because Dean Wicks being mentioned. When he first appeared in the 2000s, he was somewhere between category 2 and 3. He was still meant to be someone you rooted for, but still did some bad things. However, his return in 2014 shifted him into category 1, and he has been there ever since. And then the last example they give is Stuart Highway. He was introduced as pretty much a category 1 character. It could be argued he was category 2, but was very close to 1 either way. However, by the time he left, he was somewhere between 2 and 3. You were meant to root for him by the end.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty right. See, the goods is also, yeah, it's essentially it's unproblematic for the most part. They're not super. They're usually quite kind of buttoned down, and they have their principles and what they do and won't do. But also in a soap, a lot of people are flawed, and you do tend to explore the flaws in some of the bigger storylines, or take someone who may be previously happy and then have something traumatic happen to them, and then obviously they are now slightly more uh, traumatized. A sense, the kind of it's unfortunately just a natural progression of soap characters where it's like Zainab's actress, Nina Wadia, who she was talking about how, she loves the show and she was happy to be part of it for such a long time. But then she was like, yeah, but then they did the abuse storyline with Yusuf Khan, I believe. And then she's like, how does she come back from this? How do you go through this and then go back to wisecracking every week? Like, it feels a little bit different. And then obviously she asked if she would go back. She obviously said yes. Because EastEnders actors and soap actors are fucking just shameless. Um, but it is a thing that once they stray away from just being seen as good, ultimately You can't slap the good boy label back on top and say, no, I am good. I have always been good. But it's just the characterization, essentially. And it's like the thing where like actors are at the mercy of the writers, and the writers have a decision to make. It's like Alfie Moon. I know we say this, but I'm not even going to talk about the later bit. I'm even just going to talk about the slight bit of the return, where him and Kat come back after what 4 years away. Kat's pregnant, and with Tommy, and Alfie is still, work shy, doesn't really want to get off his ass and do anything. Then Kat cheats on him. Like it's and at that point the character Alfie just goes from being good to even then just kind of becoming a mixed bag, because now we don't really get the kind of Alfie we knew in the 2000s where he's cheeky chappy kind of happy-go-lucky guy. Now he's just showing a bit more like he's shown a bit more wear and tear. He's not really the same guy. He's kind of lost a bit of his spark as such. But it's also kind of naturally a thing of like soap, and just as of when people kind of just just age. Really, some people just have shit lives, and they just have to deal with it. And it's the old adage where everybody goes like it can always like it will always get better, and it's like it can always get worse. It can always get worse, and this is more than often applied to soap characters because let's be honest, nobody really gets their happy ending. Just the unfortunate case of it. Nobody really gets the happy ending. If they go out in a blaze of inferno, maybe then you go, yeah, this was the right exit. But usually they don't go out smelling of roses.
No, that is pretty much the video. I will just give my thoughts on the final category and the mixed bags, and then we'll see you out, and then we'll see you out, and you can appear in the next one.
See you out on your ass.
Yeah, exactly. But on the mixed bags, a character can't be inherently evil if you're supposed to root for them. That sounds so wrong, but what I'm trying to say is like Ian Beale has technically killed someone, but again, that's by a technicality because he locked someone in a boat, that he didn't know was going to crash, and they drowned, and he couldn't save them. That's a technicality. Phil has I was going to call him Steve. He's not Steve. He's Phil in the show. Phil is technically killed by a technicality because he locked the car lot and set a man on fire by accident. But again, he did not know that. That's a technicality. Stacey, I can't really say that's a technicality because she knew she was going to kill Archie. So, but you know what I mean. There is some technicalities with this where it's like it did kill, but at the same time, not really. And Phil has always been
Well,
inherently,
there's a difference between someone just ruthlessly doing it
yeah,
and someone kind of it just happened, but
um,
not like there is a difference essentially.
yeah,
That like there's a certain level of intent.
like,
I mean, there's also why there's like first degree, secondary, like there are levels to it.
yeah, and like again, like I said, by technicality, Ian has killed, but it's also like the early 2020s is such a nightmare blunt rotation because what the fuck were they doing when they came back from the pandemic? But like on that, it's just like you're supposed to. Fuck, I lost my train of thought thinking about the 2020s. But I'll go to the next category, like the people who can shift between it's not like the who are good. Like Gina and Callum are good examples for this. Bradley I would agree with, and Denise I can agree with. Denise did technically kill someone, but she wasn't a part of it, so she kind of just covered it up. Um, and yeah, I know cheating is bad. I know people are gonna correct us in the
Here we,
comments saying
here we go. Here we go. I'm buttoning the shirt, guys. It's going off.
But I know cheating is technically bad, but Callum did it in a way, and this works with Harvey as well, where he did it in a way where he didn't do it out of spite, and he didn't do it out of malice. He did it because he wasn't getting the love he was appreciated for. Because for Callum, basically, Ben got locked up, and basically he had nowhere to go, and he couldn't keep waiting for Johnny, or not Johnny, he couldn't keep waiting for Ben, so he had to move on. With Harvey as well, I know this is gonna sound wrong, but he cheated because Jean, although yes, Jean does have her own issues, Jean wasn't
I mean,
really,
Gene was an emotionally unavailable partner.
yeah, and I'm not saying like if
Harvey's like, I want to talk, Gene. I want to talk. Yeah, well, the talk is all you do, Harvey. Fuck off. It's like, yeah, all right, great, thanks,
and
good chat.
And I know people would go, but why do you say like Harvey cheating isn't bad? Well, it's simple. Because again, I'm not saying if your partner is being emotionally unavailable, but if every time you speak in a relationship they're like, well, Martin's dead. How about you shut the fuck up, Harvey? Martin's dead. Then you can understand why you would kind of like let loose in the barn, essentially, because like, of course, it's wrong to cheat, but he did it not out of spite. He did it because he wanted to be loved, and that's the kind of
He
thing.
wanted to escape from his shit relationship.
Yeah, I would too. To be fair, it's just a side note. Because could you imagine being like, "Oh, Gene, I'm feeling a bit depressed." Well, you know who's also depressed? Martin, because he's 6 foot fucking under. Get a grip, Harvey. Get a grip. Martin's dead. Yeah, Gene, I know he's dead. You've been saying this for the past 5 minutes. I've asked you to put out the bins, and then you went, "Well, Martin's dead. He can't put out the bins." I know he's dead. Get over it, Gene. I'm sorry. That's the one thing I hate about Jean's current character. Is like it's not her fault she's ruined relationships or friendships. It's everyone else's problem. And I know like Ben
I mean,
Rayson,
we all know people like that.
and and also on that, just on Jean, just a side note because I did mention Harvey. Jean's also a weird one because for some reason Ben Riley kind of wants to go back to original Jean in a sense, but I don't really agree with it. But yeah, that's my thoughts and takeaways. But Jean will be a separate video, guys. Don't you worry. Um, but yeah,
I hope not.
it won't be. Trust me, it won't be. Because it'll just be me ranting for 20 minutes about like how she's wrong. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. We will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.